Hello and welcome. I'm Lori Ann Lumby with Authentic Freedom Academy, and this is our Friday spiritual service. And today is Friday, November something or others, November 20th. And our theme today is the empty and the void. And so let's take a few moments to bring ourselves into this space, into our own personal intentions for joining this circle today, and our own spirit and our own intention for nurturing and cultivating our own spiritual development. So I invite you to begin by closing your eyes. And I'll invite us to begin with a body scan. I want to provide an opportunity for us to have an understanding, or perhaps even get a glimpse of the energy, specifically of the empty. So with your mind's eye, bringing your awareness first to the top of your head, bringing it from the crown into the middle of the head, continuing to draw that energy down through your throat, across your shoulders, entering into your heart space, the part of your heart that faces frontwards, and the part of your heart that faces behind. Continuing to draw that energy and awareness into the deepest center of your being, moving into and through the solar plexus, moving deep into the navel center, the sacral chakra, continuing to draw your awareness down into the root chakra, and allowing that energy to continue down through your legs, in the center of your knees, through your calves, into the bottom of your feet. Being conscious of that continuous flow of energy from above, through you, to the bottom of your feet, and allowing that energy to reach down deep into the earth, anchoring you into your physical body and on this physical plane. As you continue to be aware of that energy and its movement, allow your consciousness to wander through the interior of your being, all the way from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Specifically, I'm inviting you to look for places within that might feel empty. Place that feels devoid of energy, vacant, perhaps inactive. just empty. As you attempt to approach or observe or be present with that empty, allow yourself to approach that from a place of non-judgment. Recognizing that the empty just is. It's neither good nor bad, right nor wrong. It is just a current state of being or current experience or awareness.
Shh.
As you maintain that connection with that sensation of emptiness, remember to breathe. I'm aware of any emotions or temptations to judgment that might be surfacing within you. Any anxiety or fear, worry, frustration, boredom, anger, anything that you might be feeling in connection with that sense of empty. And as you continue to maintain that connection in non-judgment, I share with you these words from a poet, a modern day poet who goes by the name of Light Weaver. Empty as empty. No click in my heels, no swagger in my step. No light in my eye, no life in my breath. Empty as empty, a hole filled with nothing. So much nothing has got to be something. No wine in my glass, no smoke in my bowl, no needle in my vein, no pills to swallow. Empty as empty, a hole filled with nothing. So much nothing has got to be something. No story on the screen, no music in the speakers, no freshness in my sheets, no blinking from my blinker. Empty as empty, a hole filled with nothing. So much nothing has got to be something. No words on the page, no mess on the floor, no meal in the oven, no muse, no. Empty as empty, a hole filled with nothing. So much nothing has got to be something. No truth in my smile, no silver lining on a cloud, no joy in my spirit, no peace for my brow. Empty as empty, a hole filled with nothing. So much nothing has got to be something. Yet the emptier I get, the deeper I feel. A large open space. Truth is revealed. Empty as empty, a hole filled with nothing. So much nothing has got to be something. It's been an interesting week, energy-wise, and I certainly can't make any assumptions or project my own experience on anyone else that is here and part of this circle. But a new sort of energy showed itself this week that I can't say it's actually not new. It's a very familiar energy, but for the first time, I experienced it and understood it as being different from what I've previously called the void. So first, I have to talk a little bit about the void experience. We've talked about and worked with the void in this circle in the past. The void, from the perspective of the mystical traditions, is the beginning of everything, the source of everything, but it cannot be defined, seen, witnessed, experienced. It can be experienced, can't be seen. In the Hebrew tradition, this void is called Ein Sof, which means no thing, or more specifically, no thingness. So the void is not a noun in the way that we would understand it. It's not a thing or a place or a person or an animal. Instead, it is a state of being. It is no thing. It is the great void. The best image that I can liken it to is a black hole. An empty, vacuous space. But out of that vacuous space comes everything. Everything that we have ever seen or experienced or will witness comes forth out of the void. The Native American traditions know this well and talk about the crow or the raven as being the creator. That the raven or crow dives deep into the void to bring forth that which needs to come forth. It is bringing something forth out of nothing. This is the eternal process of creation, of manifestation, of magic. Bringing forth something out of nothing. Earlier this week, I had a profound experience with the void and found myself diving deep, 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 deep into a void experience. And in the center of the void was this tiny sparkling light, if that's the way, it's the best word I can come up with to describe it. Something that can't be described and is so small, it can't even be measured. Imperceptible, in fact. But in the center of that void, I picked up that imperceptible, immeasurable spark of light and brought it forth out of the void. And I want to say into our world, but more so, it was like the void turned in on itself. And what I was bringing forth was a whole new universe. Now, I'm certainly not saying that I was responsible for birthing a universe or bringing a universe into form. But I love the image of that immeasurable, infinitely tiny spark of light in the center of the no thingness that, when grasped, can produce and create whole new worlds and whole new universes. And interestingly, this goes right along with black hole theory and also the Big Bang theory. Specifically looking at a black hole, it's an energy of collapse. It's an energy that draws everything into it. And in drawing everything into this void, everything is destroyed. And that black hole just keeps absorbing, vacuuming, drawing in, taking in, destroying, compressing the energies of what already is, and compresses it so much that it creates a force, an opposite force, if you will, that explodes out of the other side of the black hole and births entire worlds and galaxies and universes. If we want to go into dimension theory, that black hole might actually be creating new and different dimensions. The void is an energy of creation. It is an energy that feels vacuous, that might feel empty, that can feel terrifying when we first experience that state of no thingness and the stark reality of that state. And when we understand that when we touch the void, we are entering into a place of complete annihilation. Annihilation of self, annihilation of what we have known. But the void is also about new life. It is about birthing new worlds and new aspects of our own being and our own life experience. Now, all of that is to lead into the discussion of the empty. And this is also not a new experience, but something that has been, I guess I'll say I'm receiving it or interpreting it in a different way than how I had experienced it in the past. Where the void is no thingness, the empty is the empty. While the void holds within it all potential for new life. It holds nothing, but at the same time, it holds all potential. The empty, in contrast, holds nothing. The best way I can describe the empty is that it is something that surfaces at the end of. At the end of a journey, at the end of a growth cycle, at the end of a purpose, at the end of meaning. The empty feels empty. There's nothing left. There's really nothing in the space. And I think we can all acknowledge, remember, recall times in our life where we felt that stark experience of emptiness. And this is not an emptiness that is about despair or depression or grief or loss. Though we may have experiences of that connected with the empty. As it is appropriate to experience all the phases of grief when something comes to an end. That empty can feel final, and it is. That empty can feel vacant of hope. That empty can leave us with an experience or a sensation of what now, or a feeling of being lost. And our human inclination is to try to make that empty go away. Let's fill it up with activity. Let's make ourselves busy. Let's just set new goals. Let's cover up that discomfort that comes with the empty. And let's cover it up by all of the compulsive behaviors that take us away from the gift of the empty. And those compulsive behaviors obviously vary from person to person, but they can include mindless shopping, scrolling on social media, eating, drinking, drugs. There are a million ways we try to fill that emptiness. But the path of the warrior calls us to not escape the empty or avoid it or try to fill it up or find things to do to keep us out of that discomfort of empty. Instead, we are invited to be present to the empty. Allowing ourselves to be bored, to be lost, to be confused, to be scared, to have those moments of hopelessness, of feeling that restlessness that comes with discomfort. And the one thing that I will say that is certain about the empty, at least in the way that I've experienced and in the way that wisdom teachers have spoken of it, using their own unique terms and such, is that the empty, while it's the end, is also the threshold of a new beginning. The empty invites us into that time of being okay with nothing. Maybe reflecting back on what has been and what has brought us to this place, and being proud of what we've accomplished in that path that brought us to this empty. The empty says a cycle is complete. It's done. There's nothing more to do or accomplish or attempt in that particular life, if you will, or life cycle. Instead, we're invited to just be with that strange and uncomfortable feeling of empty. Knowing and believing what all of the holy teachers have told us is that on the other side of an end is always the opportunity for a new beginning. If I can put it in any sort of geographical terms, it's like by allowing ourselves to be present to the empty, we are eventually ushered into the void. Moving from empty to no thingness, but also a no thingness that is full, infinitely full of all possibilities and potentials. The empty is simply a stage in that journey. And when we allow ourselves to be present to it, we find our way into the void. And in being present with the void, we find, or are, I guess I'll say even differently, not find, because it's not our job to find the new. By entering into the void and walking or swimming or being carried into its depths, we are catapulted into whatever that new might be. So as I sit with that, I'm aware of, I guess I'll say, the universal human evolutionary experience of the empty and how that feels appropriate to the time that we are currently in. We have ended a cycle. A cycle has come to its conclusion. And there's nothing more to do about that past cycle. Instead, we're invited to simply be. And I think that's all I'm going to say about that for today.